Hi, it's Adam here from TheEndStep.com, here with my Gruul aggro deck. This is Saito's aggro deck that he put up recently, and it looks pretty sweet. I really wanted to give it a shot. He's always been a good Magic player when it comes to aggro decks, one of the ones that really perfected the Zoo decks, which I've always been a big fan of. So this is in that same kind of vein. It's really aggressive creatures backed up with some burn. So we'll just kind of run down some of the spells and some of the cool new stuff that's going on. So we have the 8 package 1 drops that a lot of the red deck wins and zombies have kind of used before. Pretty self-explanatory with Cackler and Stormkirk Noble. And we jump over to Ash Zealot, who's still been very solid. Great creature, is aggressive, but also plays defense really well. And then we get to one of the new cards, the Burning Tree Emissary, which when you look at it first, it's just like a 2/2, but then you realize it's free, and when you have a bunch of other 2 drops and other cheap stuff to run into, like you can really have some busted turns where you can like Emissary on turn 2, like play a Noble and a Rancor, or play an Emissary into a Flinthoof Boar, or like if you have 3 mana, Emissary into Boros Reckoner. So like you can have these really crazy turns where you just kind of go off and you get way ahead because of the fact that they're free. So Flinthoof Boar is essentially a Watch Wolf. Sometimes has haste, so just a 3/3 because there's so many mountains. There's 13 mountains, so it almost always will be big. And then the other new card is Boros Reckoner, who has been ridiculous. The fact that it's a Spite Mare but costs 1 less and can give it first strike is a real problem, and it's really immune to almost all the removal right now in Standard. You never want a Searing Spirit because it's just awful for you. Like if you will if you have to, but you're not very happy about it. So as James has said, so Victim of Night is one of the best answers to this guy because pretty much it's one of the only answers to him. And then the top end of the curve is just 3 Hell Riders, so it's a lot lower curve than like the Black-Red Zombies deck that was big, and even some of the red decks were still playing Thundermaw Hellkite. So that does allow us to cut down on our lands. We're down to 21 lands, so you shouldn't get nearly as much flooded. There is no utility lands, so there's nothing fancy going on in the lands besides the colors. And the spell package is just 4 Pillar, 4 Rancor, and 4 Searing Spear. So just get stuff out of your way, make your guys have trample, and finish the game. It's essentially the way it works. It's pretty straightforward, but it looks really fun. It's really fast, and it should run over a lot of people, especially if they stumble or have a slow draw. So I'm excited to smash them face. We'll pause and come back with the sideboard. All right, we're back here with the sideboard for the Gruul aggro deck. It's a pretty straightforward sideboard because the deck already is really streamlined, so you're not going to do a ton of sideboarding. You have Mizium Mortars for any deck that has a lot of 4 toughness guys, like the Naya deck, so like Luxon Smiter can be an issue because you really can't deal with it. Game 1, you have to like 2 for 1 yourself in order to get it off the table. And then Reckless Waif is against any slow deck. It becomes disgusting. It really makes your hand that much more aggressive. When you can play these on turn 1 along with your other 1-drops, you're just going to do so much damage so fast. That's really the only matchup. You don't want it against any other deck because you're never going to flip it. The Volcanic Strength is a card that I never thought would see standard play, but it is because there's so many decks with mountains right now. This deck, red deck, Zombies has some mountains, and then the Naya decks have mountains. And because of Farseek, everybody's playing the Shocks, which are also mountains. So giving a guy essentially unblockable plus a +2/+2 is a pretty big game. And you slap it on a creature that's a 3/3 or a 4/4. Now you're doing a ton of damage, and it will end the game pretty quickly. Thunderbolt is mainly for Restoration Angel. Again, a 4 toughness creature that's a little tough to deal with. Better than Mizium Mortars just because it's instant speed, and Restoration Angel has flash, so they always get the tricky with it, but at least you have a good answer for it immediately. And then Graphic Digger's Cage is for any reanimation deck, whether it's the human reanimator, which is more popular right now, or I'm sure at some point more of a classic big fatty reanimator will come back to, and it's just the best answer you have in these colors. So that's about it. Thanks for tuning in.